Hey yo guys, what is up? MTG is back again with another video. In today's video, we're taking a look at my, what is this? A green-red competitive modern deck. Now, a couple disclaimers before we just hop right into this here. If you're a beginner player, or even just like you've been playing for a year, don't build yourself this deck. This deck is way too expensive for it to be your first deck or for it to be your 10th deck. Actually, maybe that's a stretch. For it to be like your third deck, whatever. This deck is way too expensive, so make sure you actually know what you're doing before you just go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to buy this dude's deck. And no, this deck does not have every single piece it needs yet, but it's pretty close, and I'll explain what the missing pieces are. And yeah, so we're just going to hop straight into this here. I figured we'd take a look at the lands first, and then we can go to, I kind of sorted these out. So we have lands and basic lands, enchantments, creatures, and sorceries, and then I have my sideboard over here that we will get to after. So basically, this is the lands. So we have 3 Cinderglades. I actually have 1 more coming in the mail. So if you are trying to build this deck, I don't recommend building exactly like I am, but because I have some odd pieces that aren't necessarily needed. But so Cinderglade, I'm getting 4 of these, and then I'm also getting a Carplucent Forest, which is I'll put a picture of it on the screen. So Cinderglade, 4 of these, mountain, forest, land. So it is fetchable. That's why I really like this card. And it's a cheaper alternative to shock lands. And this deck doesn't really require shock lands because you don't need to really play a shock land on turn 1 because all my turn 1s are green anyways. So it doesn't really require shock lands. That's why I'm not really using them. So Cinderglade, 4 of these, even though I only have 3 in my possession at the moment. Taps for a green or a red, and it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So it can be your second land drop and come in untapped. So it's pretty sweet card. Nice little land just to be able to mana fix your deck. And yeah, so as you can see here, I have some beautiful foil forests that I'm trying to currently foil out my entire deck, except for this. I'm going to keep that in. So yeah, I'm trying to foil out my entire basic lands, but don't do that. I'm dumb. They were cheap. I got them for cheap. You can check it out on my Instagram at MTG if you want to see just how cheap they were. But, so yeah, we have... I should stop sorting these. Why am I sorting these right now? This does not matter. Okay, so we have beautiful forest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18... forests and 3 Cinderglades, going to be 4. I'm probably just going to take out 1 forest to put in the next Cinderglade. So 21 lands total is right around where I'm sitting. You could probably do 22, but I don't think it's quite necessary. So that's your land set for the deck. So I'm just going to actually tap that pile so we know I already went through it because I have a bad memory. Oh man, that's sad. Okay. Next up, so this is a ramp deck, so you do need a lot of ramp. I don't know why I said much ramp, but it's fine. So we have 4 Utopia Sprawls. Utopia Sprawl, Enchant Force. As Utopia Sprawl enters the battlefield, choose a color. When Enchanted Forest is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana of the chosen color to his or her mana pool. Usually I end up using this for red in case we don't have our Cinderglades. But yeah, usually, basically 7 chances to get red is plenty for this deck because there's not that much red in it. So, and then we have 1 Fertile Ground, which I'm probably going to take out because it's not really that good. But I kept it in. For now, I don't recommend using this card. But it's in the deck nonetheless. And it works, it's just slower. It's like, it's not a 1-drop and it's not a 3-drop like Overgrowth. So it's like... yeah, it's kind of a tough situation to get out and get it for value. So Enchanted Land is tapped for mana. Its controller adds 1 mana of any color to his or her mana pool. So, actually, yeah, sorry, going back to Utopia Sprawl here. So it is Enchant Forest. That's why we have so many forests and not many lands that are mountain forests or whatever you want to call them. So that's why... we don't have that many of those. But Fertile Ground, another great one to be able to get that red mana if you need it. Probably going to end up taking this out and putting in something else. Not sure what yet, but actually I'll probably switch it out for my Carplucent Forest. So That's what I would do instead of that. So, and then we have Overgrowth, the best ramp of the ramp. Overgrowth, I don't know why I have this one. I just thought the art looked cool. Because, I mean, come on. Look at that art. That's old. It looks nice. Okay. Anyways, Overgrowth, 2 and a green. Enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, it produces an additional double green. So basically, if you attach this to 1 force, it's going to tap for 3 green mana instead, which is just an amazing card, especially with what we have coming up next. So I'm going to come back to Utopia Sprawl and stuff like that in just a moment here, and you'll see why. So the first of our creature pile, I sorted these out by mana cost. So we have 4 Arbor Elves. These things are the most essential of the essential. Tap untap target forest. So tap this to untap target forest, and it's a 1/1. It can get burned from burn decks pretty easily, but you can still manage. Like the deck still runs perfectly fine without this on the battlefield. It's just even faster if this is out. So basically what this does is you'll have this out on the battlefield and you might start enchanting your lands. This is the best turn 1 play. If you don't have this, you want to play this. But basically you start attaching your enchantments, and then self-explanatory, you'll tap this to untap the land, and you're basically getting even double. So like let's say you had an enchanted land that had a Utopia Sprawl and an Overgrowth. You now have, sorry I keep pumping the camera. You now have 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 worth of enchantments, and you have the forest. So you're tapping, let's say you had these attached to a forest, you're tapping this for mana, you tap the Arbor Elf to untap it, and you can tap it again. So you're getting 8 mana out of something that can only tap for 4. So absolutely an essential to the deck to make it run even faster. So, because modern games are quick, if you're new to Modern, like I said, don't buy this deck, but I can teach you a little bit about Modern here today. Anyways, Modern games are extremely fast, and you always need to be fast on the play. So, next one is Voyaging Satyr. Same thing as Arbor Elf over here. Tap it to untap target land instead of target forest, and it's a 1/2. So, it's a 2-drop. It's not as good as Arbor Elf, but it's good because we need 8 of those. Jeez, I keep bumping the camera. I'm so sorry. I'm actually just going to back some stuff up here so I don't keep hitting the camera. Okay. But yeah, so these are essential to do that. This one is not quite essential, but I like running it. So Omnath, Locus of Mana. It's a 2 and a green 1/1. Green mana doesn't empty from your mana pool as steps and phases ends. Omnath, Locus of Mana gets a +1/+1 counter. Gets +1/+1 for each green mana in your mana pool. So basically it's just a fantastic way if you're like stuck, like if you don't have much enchantments or any untappers, you can just keep tapping for mana and still get what you need to get out. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of expensive stuff coming up. So that's why you need stuff like this to like, just in case. I only have 1 of them, but it's a good like backup plan just in case. Bellowing Tangleworm, these things are pretty cool. I like them. They're 5-drop, 4/4 Intimidate, which means this creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. Other green creatures you control have Intimidate, so basically it's just making you have unblockable creatures unless your opponent's playing green. Then I would probably sideboard these out for something else, which I will get to later. So Xanagos, God of Revels, you'll see why this, I'm actually going to put these off to the side here because these are very, very important because some of these creatures are literally the win con for the deck. So 3, a red and a green, 6/5, legendary enchantment creature, God, indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Xanagos is not a creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. Absolutely insane card, even without the combo piece that I will be getting to later. So we're going to put that right on over there. 2 Primeval Titans, these things are just awesome. 6/6, trample. Whenever Primal Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you may search your library for up to 2 land cards and put them on the battlefield tapped to shuffle your library. So this is great because it doesn't have to be a basic land, so if you're struggling to find that green mana, you can just pop a Cinderglade out onto the battlefield and you can use it next turn. So just a great way to kind of set this up. There's also a card called the Kessig Wolf Run. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'll put a picture up here, but I don't have the picture, so I'm going to try and memorize it, or tell you what it does from memory. So I believe it's, you can tap for 1 colorless mana, and you can tap it for X red and a green, and then target creature gets +X and trample. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you guys will know. It's right here. So that's a great combo piece for Primeval Titan that I do not have in this deck, just because I think I'm still going to get it. But I was just trying to figure out whether or not like I really wanted it, or if I just want to keep it the way it is, because the deck is perfectly fine as it is. So that's definitely a good little combo piece that you can use with Primeval Titan. You can also use another land that or you can use any land, because it's any land, like it can find any land, so it's just an amazing card. So I have 3 of these. These things are surprisingly cheap. They're only like $1.95 or something like that a piece at retail, so you can find them cheaper. Elder Scale Worm, 4 and 3 green, 7/7 trample. When it enters the battlefield, if your life total is less than 7, your life total becomes 7. As long as you have 7 or more life, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 7 reduces it to 7 instead. This is just a great way to stall the game if you're lacking on mana. Just like if you're lacking on mana so you can't quite get what you need to win yet, it's just a great way to stall the game. So I love this card. Yeah, I'll probably always run that card in this deck. So we have another little... So yeah, 3 of those, and then we have another little card here that will stall the game for us. Platinum Empyrean. You could run 3 of these, but since I had these, I only ran 2. Platinum Empyrean is an 8-drop, 8/8. Your life total can't change. So this is actually an essential combo piece that I'm going to put over here as another way that you can win the game. I mean, you can win the game with any of these cards, just that these ones almost guarantee you will win. Void Winnower is... This one's not necessary, but I really like this card, and I think it's actually really powerful. This would be a card that I would consider sideboarding out if there was something I needed to sideboard in. But I still love this card, so I run it anyways. Void Winnower is a 9-drop, 11/9. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs. 0 is even. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana costs. So I just love this card. I think it's so powerful. And for a 9-drop, that's pretty good, and we have 9 mana on turn 4 usually, so it's really not a stretch of the imagination to get this out. Vorinclex, another 8-drop, is 6 and 2 green, 7/6 trample. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool. Of any type of that land produced. So if you tap a forest, you get an extra green mana with it. So you're tapping a forest for 2 green mana. Great card here. And then its second ability, whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, that land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. This card is so powerful, like it just shuts down your entire opponent's game. Modern, now I never ever would play this in Commander, because Commander's the format to have fun, unless you're literally playing competitively, but almost no one does that. So, but Modern, it's so competitive, and the whole thing, like, it can be really frustrating, so it's, honestly, I don't mind running a jerk card like this, to be honest, but, yeah, it basically just shuts down your entire opponent's deck, so they have nothing to do. Now, the most expensive creature in this deck, Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. This is a absolute essential to this deck. So, 15/15, Legendary Eldrazi. This spell cannot be countered. Whenever you cast this spell, take an extra turn after this one. Flying, protection from colored spells, and Annihilator 6, which means you sacrifice 6 permanents every time it attacks. So the defending player will sacrifice 6 permanents of their choice. Whenever it is put into the graveyard from anywhere, it shuffles it back into. You shuffle it back into your library. So we're gonna put that up there with Xanagos, because things are about to get insane. So that is it for the creature pile. We're going to toss these to the side because there's not too many more combo pieces with these guys now. But we're going to take all these cards, toss them over here, and we're going to go to our sorcery pile. So Madcap Experiment, this is one of the main ways to win the game. Keep in mind, we can use this on turn 3. I'm trying to think if there's a situation where you can use it on turn 2, but I don't believe there is. Madcap Experiment, sorcery. Reveal from the top of your library until you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest of them on the bottom of your library in any order. Madcap Experiment deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. Now, that's not that good of a card, right? Well, wait a second. Just hang on. So we have 4 of those. Platinum Empyrean, if you'll notice, is an artifact creature that has your life total, can't change. Let's say you play this card, you flip through half your deck. You flip through 30 cards, right? You're flipping through 30 cards, your opponent's like, oh, well, you're dead because I'm going to do 30 damage to you. Well, the way this is read, this is the only artifact in the deck, so it's the only artifact that can get played from this card, which means you're playing this turn 4, 8/8. Now, the way this is worded, put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So you play this comes out onto the battlefield. Then, Madcap deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. Now, because this is already on the battlefield, your life total can't change, which means that Madcap Experiment deals no damage to you, and you effectively just got an 8/8 for 8, or an 8/8 where your life total can't change for 4 mana on turn 3. So yeah, that's an insane combo. And it happens pretty often. So, our next combo here involves Xanagos and Emrakul. Now, I made an entire video on this card. That's how powerful it is, in my opinion. So, Tooth and Nail. 5 and 2 green. Sorcery. Choose 1. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Or, put up to 2 target creatures from your hand into play. Now, that's not too amazing, right? For 7, it's not that good. Now, if you go down here to Entwine, you pay 2 more, so you're paying 7 colorless and 2 green. You get to search your library for 2 creature cards and then put 2 from your hand onto the battlefield. This means we can play this on turn 4. There is some situations where you can play this on turn 3, but that rarely ever happens. But turn 4 is plenty quick enough. So, we play Tooth and Nail turn 4. We search for Xanagos and Emrakul. We play both of these cards. We now have an extra turn from Emrakul because it has been casted. And even though you're casting it for free by searching your library, that doesn't matter. Even though you're cheating the mana cost, you're still technically casting it, so you still get its casting trigger, which means you get an extra turn after this one. Now, we also have Xanagos on the battlefield. This is a 6/5, but that doesn't matter. It's its ability that matters. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature gets +X/+X, Emrakul, until end of turn, and haste, where X is that creature's power. We then gave it the 15/15 +15/+15, making it a 30/30 haste flying Annihilator 6, protection from coward spells, and we hit them for 30 in the air. Now, in case they do have a blocker, which is possible, we now get another turn. Going to combat again, we swing at them with, once again, a 30/30 in the air. Basically, that seals the game. There's pretty much, I've never played a game where that has not finished the game off for me. So, yeah, obviously this is the main combo of the deck. Now, there is other combos like the Madcap Experiment and the Platinum Empyrean that can easily win you the game. But this one, basically, as soon as it happens, as long as they don't counter Tooth and Nail, basically it's just a game winner right there. Like, there's no hope for your opponent. And there's 4 Tooth and Nails in this deck, since that is the major combo. So, that is the deck, ladies and gentlemen. So, we're gonna hop right over. Jeez, this video is long. Forgot how much explaining this deck takes. Okay, so now we're gonna hop over to the sideboard. So I actually am. You can see I have an empty sleeve here. That is because I'm missing 1 sideboard card. Now you can easily run a Blood Moon in this, which I really like. I'll put a picture of Blood Moon up. Basically what Blood Moon is all non-basic lands are mountains. This actually helps us because even though we do have 1 playset of non-basic lands, it turns them into mountains, and that's why we need the Cinderglades anyways to tap for red. So, and then that by having Blood Moon, it effectively ruins your entire opponent's mana base if they are running anything other than basic lands. So anything shock lands or fetch lands or anything that's non-basic is now a mountain. So we can basically screw over an entire opponent's deck from just a Blood Moon. So that card is like $30. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm definitely going to invest in it eventually. So as you see, we do have an Emrakul here, but we'll get to that at the end. So our first playset, or actually 3 sideboard cards, is Eternal Witness, 3, 2 green, 2/1. When Eternal Witness enters the battlefield, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a 2/1. It's a good card for anything that any discard deck you want to be running this. You want to sideboard this in. However, with Modern Horizons, we are seeing regrowth in the format. Regrowth is a 2-drop. It's a 1 and a green, and you return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So I'm actually getting a few of those, and I'll probably replace Eternal Witness with those. So if you're planning on running this deck, which I don't recommend still, I'm just showing it to you to show how powerful it is, and maybe you can get some inspiration for your own decks, or you can build it. I definitely build it if you want to. I'm not going to tell you not to. It's just expensive. So Eternal Witness, I would switch this out for Regrowth once it is available in the format, which will be June 14th, because that's when Modern Horizon releases. But for now, Eternal Witnesses. We have 2 Fracturing Gusts. Now you might be wondering, why would we run this? 2 and 3 hybrid of green or white, which obviously we're going to be paying green because we don't have white in this deck. So it's an instant, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. You gain 2 life for each permanent destroyed this way. Now you might be thinking, but Addison, we have a whole pile of enchantments that makes your deck run. Now, yes, this is true. Yes, those make our deck run. But we can easily ramp out with the untappers. So we can definitely still function after destroying our own enchantments, and it's a great way to gain some life if you're playing some deck that works fast and you need to gain life after. So, but the main reason we have this, we'd almost never play this except for if we were looking at something, I don't know, maybe a Tron deck where the entire deck is artifacts. You just destroy anything that's on the battlefield. That's what these are for. These are like a last resort card. Think of these as like, you open up the case, the red button's inside it. The red button blows everything up. You only want to press that button if you're in great danger. You do not want to use that card if you don't have to, but it's absolutely a great way to destroy an entire Tron deck at once. So you definitely, it's definitely a great card, and I definitely recommend running it in your sideboard. So the next card we have is Primal Command, 3 and 2 green. My dog is barking upstairs. I don't know what he's barking about, but sorry about that if you hear that in the background. But Primal Command is 3 and 2 green, sorcery, choose 2. So target player gains 7 life. Put target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffles his or her graveyard into his or her library, or search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Now, this can be used for many different things. Usually, you'd be sideboarding it into for the life gain if you're playing a burn deck. But you also get that second one, so you could easily put another creature card from your library into your hand. And let's say you already had like Xanagos in your hand, and then you put Emrakul in your hand. You then can cast Tooth and Nail for 7, and it does what it needs to do. So it does make Tooth and Nail a bit cheaper while you're getting your own benefits. So you also can put target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library, which is definitely helpful in some cases. Usually you wouldn't use it for that, but you can definitely use it for that if you want to. And let's say you're playing a mill deck, target player shuffles his or her library into his or her graveyard into his or her library. Usually you don't play mill decks in Modern, so that won't happen. But just in case, you know what I mean? So, great card, great sideboard card for sure. Now this is another just a great beast, no pun intended, just to help beat out those burn decks, which burn would probably be the hardest thing to play with this deck. So Thragtusk, 4 and a green, 5/3. When Thragtusk enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. That's basically the major reason you want this card in your deck. So, and then when it leaves the battlefield, create a 3/3 beast creature token. So basically, it's a good early game. By early game, I mean you can get it out turn 3 and you're gaining life. So it's a good stopper if you're trying to slow down a burn deck so you can have some fun with Emrakul and Xanagos. Now our next one, we have 3 Scavenging Ooze. Oh my god, these things are so powerful. Like, it's crazy. So it's 1 in a green, it's a 2/2. Like, why would you want a 2/2? It's just a 2/2 for 2. I mean, no, it's not a 2/2 for 2. It also does tap a green. And that's just a colon, which means you can do this as many times as you want in a turn. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on Scavenging Ooze, and you gain 1 life. This is an essential, because there's a lot of graveyard cards in Modern. Like, everyone plays from their graveyard. Even we play from our graveyard. We take stuff back from our graveyard with Eternal Witness / Regrowth when it's available in Modern, but Eternal Witness at the moment. So, yeah, basically, this is great for graveyard hate. So anything that wants to play stuff from its graveyard, you can just exile it. And if it's a creature, you're still buffing up your next creature. So it's really just an amazing card to play. So the next one, the last one here is Emrakul the Promised End. It's a 13-drop, 13/13. Emrakul the Promised End costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. When you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. Or, you gain control of target opponent during, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. Jeez, I can't read. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn, and then Flying Trample for protection from instants. Now, normally, we would use this just as a beatdown to, like, anything that needs to activate something on every single turn. Although your opponent's getting another turn after you control their turn, you can waste their sorceries or their instants. You can, let's say you're playing a burn deck, you can play this and you can just use their burn spells to burn themselves. So basically just a fantastic way to really just beat down a deck if you need to. So you really wouldn't use this that much, but if you do need to use it, it's an absolutely amazing card to have in your sideboard. So that is going to conclude the deck for today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, you guys are crazy. I love you guys so much. It's been like 27 minutes. It's crazy, guys. So if you guys enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Make sure you check out the merch link down below. And if you want to help support the channel, that is the best way to do it if you want something back for yourself. But if you want to help support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a crazy fun video to make. Hopefully you guys get some inspiration from this if you are interested in playing green in Modern. So, yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out, guys.